Welcome to Commentary Companions. I'm your host, Tony Garcia, and to celebrate the release of Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu, I want to go back to a simpler time, an embarrassing time. I, of course, am talking about the Star Wars Holiday Special. A TV special so embarrassing that the actors and George Lucas himself tried to pretend it never happened. Why, I bet if you asked Harrison Ford about the holiday special, he would turn into the Red Hulk without any CG enhancements required. And since Commentary Companions is always committed to talking about the making of movies, I of course have to state the facts of what the heck happened, and of course talk about Life Day and how it ended up becoming part of Star Wars canon lore. So let's go back to a less controversial time. Before Disney bought Lucasfilm, before the the Star Wars sequel trilogy done by Disney, before the prequels, before the digitally remastered version, before even George Lucas decided to slap A New Hope onto the first Star Wars film, thus dubbing it Episode 4. Yes, let's go way back to the 1970s. Specifically after the first Star Wars film was released. You have to remember that back in 1977, no one had faith that Star Wars would be a success. Not 20th Century Fox, not George Lucas himself, and especially not Kenner Toys. Merchandising for a blockbuster was considered rare and unheard of, and Kenner underestimated how successful Star Wars was going to be. The moment it became successful, they had run out of merchandising to where they wouldn't be able to make action figures for the Christmas season of 1977. So, to compensate for this, Kenner thought of the early bird certificate package, which was pretty much brought into the holiday season, and it's like, imagine this, like you're given the early bird certificate package saying, okay, look, we know we don't have the action figures for you on the Christmas season, but if you wait after Christmas, we'll compensate you with the 12 Star Wars action figures by around, I guess maybe January or February, and that'll totally put your mind at ease. I mean, imagine that. I mean, that sounds pretty enraging to a 10-year-old kid during the Christmas season of 1977, but the early bird package did work because eventually those kids did eventually get those Star Wars action figures. But it's kind of hilarious to imagine. I mean, imagine that, the early bird package, but I guess it's not far off from modern pre-ordering of video games because people are willing to buy the money to wait for a video game to be released months later. But yeah, the success of Star Wars pretty much showed what was possible, and George Lucas felt, well, it's going to be a while till I can officially release a sequel to Star Wars. I may as well make a TV special about Star Wars in order to keep the franchise relevant while we're busy doing Empire Strikes Back. So it made logical sense to make a holiday special on television. So George Lucas basically pitched the idea to CBS. And so, on November 17th, 1978, the Star Wars Holiday Special aired on CBS. And while he did provide a basic story outline establishing the Wookiee holiday and Chewbacca's family and what planet he came from, George Lucas did not write, direct, or produce the holiday special, making this the first Star Wars project he didn't direct. Long before Empire Strikes Back, I have a funny confession to make. I was convinced as a child that George Lucas himself had directed the original trilogy, so I assumed he directed Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, you'll notice the original trilogy was directed by different directors. Although technically, in Return of the Jedi, during the ending shot where Luke is cremating Darth Vader's body at the end of Return of the Jedi, George Lucas actually did direct that small sequence. But anyway, Star Wars Holiday Special was kind of the first Star Wars project to not be directed by George Lucas. Excuse me. And it was the first project to not have any involvement from Industrial Light and Magic. You heard me correctly. Yeah, and ILM had absolutely no involvement with the Star Wars Holiday Special. The only involvement they really had was when the Holiday Special thought it would be great to just use archived footage of the of all the battleships and such. Yeah, it was just reused footage. You know what I mean? But anyway, the Star Wars Holiday Special is notable for introducing Chewbacca's home planet Kashyyyk, which would later on be seen again in Revenge of the Sith. And the Holiday Special is the first time we were introduced to his wife Mala, Chewbacca's son Lumpy, and his father Itchy. We would canonically see Mala and Lumpy, later renamed Lumpawaru, again in Star Wars Aftermath, Empire's End. Now, here's the problem with the Star Wars Holiday Special, among many other problems. The special, well, here's the thing. CBS didn't really treat the Star Wars Holiday Special as follow-up lore to A New Hope. No, CBS treated the Holiday Special more like yet another dime-a-dozen variety show specials. And here's the thing. I mean, variety show specials were a dime-a-dozen. And the variety show genre goes all the way back to the mid-1940s. The first official variety show to ever be made was Hourglass, which premiered on NBC in May of 1946. And the first variety show to air on CBS was Toast of the Town on June 28, 1948. Its host was, of course, Ed Sullivan, and Toast of the Town would be renamed The Ed Sullivan Show on September 25th, 1955. Funny, I mean, Mark Hamill was only 4 years old when that happened. Isn't that interesting? And The Ed Sullivan Show is notable for introducing the Beatles to American audiences. Anyway, back on subject with the Star Wars Holiday Special. Now, the special is notable for introducing the Wookiee holiday, Life Day, becoming something of a genuine tongue-in-cheek cult-like following, but I guess, and I'll talk about the traditions of Life Day later, but yeah. It introduced Life Day. At first it wasn't considered canon, but now it sort of has been canonically adapted by fans and such. But here's something crazy. The Star Wars Holiday Special went through two directors, and the one who directed, who ended up replacing the original director was Steve Binder. And Steve Binder was best known for directing Elvis Presley's 1968 comeback special and a concert for Diana Ross. And I'll do my best to to recap the plot to the best of my ability. And I'm just trying to I'm saying this on the wiki page word for word. And it does sound pretty batshit insane and like something out of the 1970s, which makes it hilariously outdated. Now, on Life Day, Chewbacca is accompanied by Han Solo, and he intends to head home to see his family. Along the way, Han and Chewie are chased by two Star Destroyers, but they escape into hyperspace. Meanwhile, on Kashyyyk, Chewbacca's family is preparing for his return, and it consists of 10 minutes of these Wookiees growling and roaring, with absolutely no subtitles, and we have no idea what the hell they're saying. But anyway, hoping to find the Millennium Falcon, Mala runs a computer scan for starships in the area, but is unsuccessful. And I should also point out, the Holiday Special is notable for being the first time that the late Stan Winston, best known for working on the Terminator films, worked on anything related to Star Wars, as he's worked on costumes and masks for the Wookiees. And of course, but here's the thing, filming the Star Wars Holiday Special was different from filming the first Star Wars movie, because the Star Wars movie had sets and such, and the Holiday Special used TV lights. And it was just, and it was grueling for the actors to work in, especially the actors in the Wookiee suits. Now, anyway, back to the plot. Mala contacts Luke Skywalker, who looks more like a Ken doll, but this is more due to the fact that, Mark Hamill had gone through a car crash and had pretty much had to have his face pretty much re-altered to look better, and the makeup crew clearly did a piss-poor job trying to make Luke Skywalker look like Luke Skywalker, because Mark Hamill looked completely unrecognizable, but blamed the TV crew for that. But anyway, Luke pretty much is with R2-D2 working on his X-Wing fighter. And Luke tells Mala he doesn't know where Han and Chewie are, and he tries to tell her, "Hey, relax, go on, let me see that happy smile." Yeah, which is so corny. I can see why Mark Hamill hated working on it. In fact, he had no idea what the hell he was doing. He was like, he felt like the only reason he was working on the holiday special was because he felt he was contractually obligated to appear. Anyway, Mala contacts San Dan, who's played by Art Carney, and he's a local trader. He tells her through a carefully worded message that Han and Chewbacca are on their way and should be arriving soon. Then, Mala attempts to prepare a meal with instructions being aired via a local cooking show by an eccentric four-armed alien cook, Chef Gourmanda, and the sketch goes on way too long, but of course, I remember, after browsing clips, I remember seeing stir, whip, 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 stir, whip, 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 stir. Anyway, Art Carney arrives with Life Day gifts for everyone, including a virtual reality fantasy program for Itchy, which is so cringeworthy and makes me question my life choices. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, the fantasy program is so gratuitous, and apparently Cher was supposed to be the fantasy woman, but she had to have surgery. So we got Diahan Carroll instead, a very obscure 1970s celebrity. Anyway, after that cringe fantasy program, back on the Falcon, Chewie and Han have just come out of hyperspace, not far from Kashyyyk. Han notices an increased Imperial presence, so they decide to land in an unguarded area to the north. No, wait! Don't leave! Now, as Han and Chewie enter the atmosphere, Lumpy hears the roaring of the ship. Believing Han and Chewie might be arriving, Mala opens the door, but instead finds two stormtroopers and officers. Now, I should also point out an important detail. The Star Wars Holiday Special is the first time that Darth Vader voice actor James Earl Jones was credited for voicing Darth Vader. I say this because when James Earl Jones was cast as the voice of Darth Vader, he requested to not be credited because he felt he was just another part of the sound effects when voicing Vader. But I believe he was very important I believe the late James Earl Jones was important to bringing Darth Vader to life with his voice. And I really think it's very nice that, for the most part, after that, he finally got credited for voicing Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, because James Earl Jones is very much an essential part to making Darth Vader work, along with the physical prowess of David Prowse, who pretty much, I have to wonder how much the original suit weighed. I guess we'll never know. But anyway, as the stormtroopers search, San and the others attempt to distract them with food and a music video box, which features a music video from the Jefferson Starships, which is so bizarre. It's crazy to imagine a world where the Star Wars universe has the Jefferson Starships, truly showing how dated this holiday special is. And of course, thank goodness the Jefferson Starships do not canonically exist in the Star Wars universe, but it would be kind of funny if they did. Imagine a universe where Rey and Finn stumble across a music box with the Jefferson Starships. Anyway, after the music video finishes, the head officer orders the search to continue. Anyway, the head officer tells Mala to keep Lumpy busy while they search his room, so Lumpy uses a view screen to watch a cartoon of one of his father's many adventures, which I'm of course talking about The Loyal Wookiee. Now, the special is notable for being the first Star Wars project that Canadian animation studio Nelvana ever worked on. And of course, The Loyal Wookiee is notable for introducing Mandalorian bounty hunter Boba Fett. Now, years later, Nelvana would do Star Wars cartoons, Star Wars Droids, and Star Wars Ewoks. Now, the Loyal Wookiee introduces Boba Fett, who is voiced by the late Don Franks. Don's daughter, prolific voice actor Cree Summer, provided her voice for Star Wars Droids and Star Wars Ewoks. I mean, and of course, here's something funny. The Loyal Wookiee is the only thing from the Star Wars Holiday Special which is available to stream on Disney+. which is kind of crazy, but also it's one of the few times Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford ever voiced their characters in the Star Wars project. I think it was probably Harrison Ford's first venture into voice acting, but Mark Hamill was no stranger to voice acting even before Star Wars, which is pretty funny. But yeah, long before he voiced the Joker, he voiced Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars Holiday Special. And of course, I know that Mark Hamill won't live that down, and neither will Harrison Ford. Anyway, Lumpy works to create a translation device that will fool the Imperials into returning to their base by faking their commander's voice. To do so, he first must watch the manual for the device being presented by a malfunctioning, incompetent robot. And of course, this sketch goes on for too long, much to the rage of audiences everywhere. Now, while the Imperials are searching downstairs, the living room view screen activates, announcing that Tatooine is being put under curfew by the Empire because of subversive forces. The video was announced as required viewing for all Imperial forces, and much of it features a bartender at the Mos Eisley Cantina, played by the late B. Arthur. And, of course, now I can talk about the aliens in the Mos Eisley Cantina in this scene. Now, Rick Baker, who's best known for his work on American Werewolf in London and Michael Jackson's Thriller and Men in Black, did the makeup for the special. And he provided the makeup and masks for the aliens at the Mos Eisley Cantina. Beforehand, Rick Baker did second unit work on A New Hope. In fact, Rick provided the Devil Guy mask in A New Hope, which he had intended to use for a John Landis film that didn't get made. But it's nice to know that the mask didn't go to waste. But hey, now you know, and knowing is only half the battle. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to make knowing is only half the battle as part of my running gag here on Commentary Companions. But yeah, in this bizarre cantina sequence, B. Arthur, the bartender, announces a last call and sings a farewell song, which is the most bizarre thing ever. I'm sure B. Arthur hated working on the Star Wars Holiday Special. Anyway, after this bizarre sequence, Lumpy uses this opportunity to put his plan into motion, faking a repeated call for the Imperials to return to base. They leave, but one stormtrooper stays behind and discovers Lumpy's ruse. Dun dun dun! At last I found you, you little saboteur! He destroys the machine, then chases Lumpy outside, just as Han and Chewie finally arrive. Chewbacca pretends Lumpy as Han kills the stormtrooper by tricking him into falling over the railing. After the family are reunited, an Imperial officer appears on the view screen, giving a general alert for the missing stormtrooper. San quickly responds that the trooper stole supplies and deserted. With the danger averted, the family prepares to go to the festival at the Great Tree of Life. They hold glowing orbs and appear in space wearing red robes, and Han also says to Chewbacca's family, "You're all like family to me." Anyway, Wookiees walk into a bright store and arrive at the Tree of Life, where many are gathered, including C-3PO and R2-D2. Luke, Leia, and Han also appear. I should also... I don't want to badmouth Carrie Fisher. I mean, because this is already a low moment for her. But while I can't pinpoint it, it seems likely that Carrie Fisher was dealing with drug addiction while doing this special. And Leia gives a short speech and sings a song in celebration. And also, this is the first time that Carrie Fisher ever sang. And Chewie remembers the adventures during the events of the original film. And finally, the Wookiee family sit around a table and bow their heads. And that is how the special ends. Yeah, and this is me reading the special on Wikipedia word for word. I mean, the plot itself sounds pretty mediocre, and the only good thing about it is the loyal Wookiee. And of course, I have to talk about how bad it all is. Like, this special was such an embarrassment. Mark Hamill didn't like it. In fact, originally he was supposed to sing a sequence, and of course, Mark Hamill had to fight tooth and nail to convince the producers, please, I don't want to sing. Please, don't have Luke Skywalker sing. And they were like, all right, fine. Luke Skywalker won't sing. You happy now? And, of course, which is ironic because years later, in the Muppet Show special, where Mark Hamill reprises his role as Luke Skywalker, he pretty much appears as himself and starts singing in that Muppet episode. And yeah, the Muppet crossover episode might just be better than the Star Wars Holiday Special. I remember seeing the Muppet Show episode with the Star Wars actors, including Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca and Anthony Daniels as C-3PO. I don't know if Kenny Baker was R2-D2 in the Muppet Special, but yes, I totally recommend the Muppet Show crossover episode. But anyway, George Lucas was so embarrassed by the Star Wars Holiday Special, he has gone on record to say if he could, he would grab a sledgehammer and destroy every surviving copy of the special that could make it that could make it. I mean, Harrison Ford in particular doesn't like talking about the special. I mean, he was already feeling reluctant about the fame, and doing the special really didn't help, to the point where every time he was shooting the Star Wars Holiday Special, he kept on asking the crew how much longer he would have to be there. He was pretty much let's just get this over with already kind of vibe. And Mark Hamill regrets working on it, but he has developed a bit of a self-deprecating sense of humor about it. I mean, in one, seriously, it's like he was talking about the 2024 presidential debate, and he said, oh my God, that was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And I was in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Now that shows a true sense of humor right there. And Carrie Fisher allegedly had a copy of the special that she would use to play at the end of her parties to make remaining guests leave. I mean, which is fair. I mean, if the closing movie was the Star Wars Holiday Special, I would probably bail out of the party too. That's one way to get guests out of here. And of course, the Star Wars Holiday Special only aired once, and to this day, 20th Century Fox has not released a physical, legal copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. You cannot find it on legal video cassettes. You cannot find it on legal DVD copies. And of course, you cannot find it on any streaming platforms. In fact, and the only remaining piece of the Star Wars Holiday Special that you can stream on Disney Plus is The Loyal Wookiee, which I think is pretty interesting. But of course, the Holiday Special, the only reason the Holiday Special has even remained to survive to this day is because most audience members, most television viewers had pretty much recorded the special on video cassettes. You have to remember, the video cassette recording, VCR for short, goes way back to the 1970s. And when the video cassette recording was introduced in 1972, and eventually the VHS machines themselves were brought to the United States in mid-1977, a lot of TV viewers would record what was on television on these VCRs. And the bright side about these video cassette recordings is that these preserve obscure parts of television that would probably never be seen by modern audiences today. I mean, we're talking about obscure TV shows, obscure movies, obscure commercials that would make people think, gosh, am I suffering a Mandela effect? I mean, with these recordings, it pretty much preserved a lot of things. In fact, I can bet that people that would record television shows on video cassettes probably saved films that were probably lost to time or lost in fires. And I can probably credit VCR recordings to saving a lot of Doctor Who episodes that got lost due to unforeseen circumstances. Yeah, I guess I could talk about how a lot of the original Doctor Who episodes that featured William Hartnell and the late Patrick Troughton, well, late William Hartnell and late Patrick Troughton, have unfortunately been lost to time because a lot of the episodes and serials were unintentionally deleted, much to the chagrin of Patrick Troughton. But thankfully, a lot of and some of these episodes, the only things that are left are like old audio recordings. But thankfully, a lot of Doctor Who fans recorded a lot of these other Doctor Who episodes that were saved by fans, and thankfully, because of that, BBC was able to release the lost episodes, much to the relief of fans. So yeah, VCRs definitely are able to help us save and preserve obscure parts of television history, and the Star Wars Holiday Special is no exception. Here's the thing, a lot of people were able to record the Star Wars Holiday Special on bootleg VHS copies. And, because of this, because George Lucas refused to release the Holiday Special on video cassette, same with Fox, a lot of bootleg copies kept on coming around. But they pretty much, bootleg copies of the Holiday Special became super popular, contributing to an almost underground urban following. The Star Wars Holiday Special itself, like Star Wars itself, has gained a cult following in of itself. It's like a tongue-in-cheek cult following for diehard fans that they love to reference, which is pretty funny. And because of this, the bootleg copies have kind of preserved the special itself. A lot of people, I can imagine that a lot of the bootleg copies are pretty much so rare that they might sell for big bucks on eBay. I mean, I can imagine a bootleg video copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special is probably worth hundreds of dollars to a Star Wars fan. And this is making me think of a joke from Weird Al Yankovic's White and Nerdy music video, where Weird Al in the music video is in a shady part of town and meets a hood gangster, what appears to be a gangster, who I think is either played by Keegan-Michael Key or Jordan Peele, and Weird Al gives the black guy some money, and the guy gives him something that's rectangular, and of course then Weird Al opens it. It's like, oh look, it's a video copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special, and the nerd is so giddy. It's practically hilarious because it's like, wow, I mean, this black guy, this dude in the music video clearly gets around if he's able to find a bootleg copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. But hey, you never know. People are willing to find just about anything. But yeah, that's the kind of legacy that the Holiday Special has really gained. And I should talk about another positive encounter regarding the Star Wars Holiday Special. Now, I've talked about how Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher all hated working on the Star Wars Holiday Special. And it seems the only actor to have any fond, positive memories regarding the special would have to be Chewbacca's actor, the late Peter Mayhew. Peter Mayhew fondly embraced the Star Wars Holiday Special as a fun and magical experience, and the biggest reason he was so happy about it was because Mayhew was happy to play Chewbacca again and go back into that galaxy far, far away. I mean, I get it. And Peter Mayhew has clearly developed a sense of humor about it. In fact, he usually greets fans by wishing them a happy Life Day. Now, what exactly is Life Day? Now, despite being considered non-canon, Life Day has been canonically adapted into the Star Wars lore. Very much, I mean, Life Day is now pretty much canon to Star Wars lore. So much so that there was even a Marvel Star Wars comic book where Qui-Gon and a young Obi-Wan Kenobi stumble across Life Day on Kashyyyk in issue number 4 of Star Wars Adventures 2020. Oh yeah, it's canon. Like it was even mentioned casually in the first episode of The Mandalorian, which I thought was a pretty funny tongue-in-cheek reference. Canonically, Life Day is annually celebrated after autumn. It is a celebration of family, joy, and harmony. Wookiees celebrate Life Day by donning red robes, going to Kashyk's Tree of Life, and enjoying a massive feast. The Tree of Life is decorated with crystalline Life Day orbs with rituals performed around the tree. Life Day feasts feature Shishok fruits, Rossshire light syrup, and sacred Ogra roots. And of course, I can imagine all of that Life Day feasts would go great with some blue milk. And what are my thoughts regarding the Star Wars Holiday Special? Now, I didn't know that there was a Star Wars Holiday Special. And of course, this was back when George Lucas was hoping no fans would ever know about it. I became familiar with it after looking at the filmography of Lucasfilm out of curiosity when I was 12. And wouldn't you know it, the moment I found the Star Wars Holiday Special, I had to know more about it. Just like I had to know about some of George Lucas's other movies that he had produced after Star Wars. Because remember, Lucasfilm is known for more than just Star Wars and Indiana Jones. But to be fair, a lot of these other projects produced by Lucasfilm aren't as well known. But some have gained cult-like followings, like Willow. I didn't know that the Star Wars Holiday Special was considered one of the worst things ever, alongside Howard the Duck. I did not know about it. But, now I know, and so far, and I was only able to see bits and pieces of the Star Wars Holiday Special because a lot of YouTubers like Doug Walker and James A. Janice would pretty much talked about it on their shows. Like, I remember Nostalgia Critic did a review of the Star Wars Holiday Special because he was lucky enough to find a bootleg copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special, and he just reviewed it, and in true Nostalgia Critic fashion, pretty much suffered through it, and it was pretty hilarious. I swear, I think the review was more entertaining than the clips that I had seen. But seeing it's like, oh yeah, this is bad, this is not good at all. In fact, I think the only thing that's even remotely interesting would have to be the Loyal Wookiee short. And I, of course, remember when, before he did Dead Meat, James A. Janice and his wife Chelsea, back when they were boyfriend and girlfriend along with their housemate, just did a drunk Disney for the Star Wars Holiday Special. It was pretty funny, and it was a bootleg copy with some old school commercials to really show that this was a 1978 holiday special. That's how I've been able to watch bits and pieces of the Star Wars Holiday Special. I don't really fault the actors for having to suffer through it. If anything, I fault CBS for this because they clearly had no idea what the hell they were doing. They didn't see this as an expansion of the Star Wars mythology and what George Lucas had envisioned. And I also blame the TV crew, who clearly should have treated this more like the way George Lucas was filming Star Wars, because George had a very unique voice when it came to creating Star Wars, and this. And it's like, they shouldn't have treated it like a TV special, but that was the main problem, treating it more like just another TV job for everyone, which pretty much, and it sucks because from what I've read, the TV lights did not do favors to the actors in the heavy makeup suits. Everyone was exhausted and pretty much constantly sweating. It was not a fun experience for the actors in the creature suits. I mean, nowadays, most TV specials involving makeup are able to withstand better TV lights, and with new technologies and such, it's been a lot easier. But back then, it was much, much harder. I mean, not every show could be like Star Trek, But yeah, the holiday special, it's something that has gained a cult following, and something obscure that I'm happy that I got a chance to talk about for this podcast episode, even if it might be a short podcast episode. But yeah, it was kind of fun exploring this schlocky part of the Star Wars Holiday Special. Something that's so bad, it's unintentionally funny. Sadly, I cannot say the same about my next Commentary Companions episode, in which I do a Commentary Companions episode regarding Fantastic Four 2015. Oof, this is going to be a rough one because I watched the film and now I have to watch it again in order to record this because that's the process of Commentary Companions. But anyway, thanks for listening to my Commentary Companions podcast episode regarding the Star Wars Holiday Special. I hope you have a happy life day. Don't have a good day, have a great day, and may the Force be with you.